Hello. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the lathe table, and in particular the importance and difference between flatness and level. Now, when I first built this monstrosity, which weighs well over 100 kilos, probably more like 150 or so, that's about almost 300 pounds, and it was just built out of scrap metal, which I welded together and then bolted down. And I had this metal sheet, which I thought, well, I'll just bolt it down, that'll be pretty flat and level. And as Blondie Hacks would say, good enough for woodworking, right? Now, Blondie Hacks is a lady on the internet on YouTube, which is very good with lathes, has a bunch of stuff on lathes and skills to do with lathes. So I suggest you look at her channel if you want to learn stuff. I'm basically the idiot in the basement who just bought a lathe, who's still sitting there in the box, and is probably going to get a lot of things wrong, but that's why I'm doing these videos, to tell you how to avoid doing that, so that you can survive the apocalypse. Right, so the original table is just a bunch of metal tubes and metal bits all bolted together, and although I've made it very heavy and very rigid, it doesn't have leveling feet. I've now ordered some leveling feet, but it took a while to find because I have to import them from Amazon US, because I couldn't find anything locally, and because of the weight of this table, you want some heavy duty leveling feet that are going to be able to take the weight and hold that level no matter what. So those are on the way, should be here in a couple of days, and that would take care of the leveling part, but the flatness part isn't going to be achieved by the metal, sort of the metal sheet that I've got on top of a rather dodgy bunch of metal bits. If you've seen the metal build videos, you'll see how it was originally built. So what I did is, for the grand price of only 30 euros, I went to pick up this, which looks like granite but actually isn't, and even just the weight of it as I'm lifting it starts to give a little bit of undulation to the metal sheet underneath. It was also pre-drilled by the guy who did it. You can't see this hole at the bottom, and this hole at the top is over here. So anyway, these are the holes that are the right distance for the lathe that I've got, and this thing is about not about exactly, like 30 centimeters wide by 80 centimeters long and about 4 centimeters thick. And the main thing about this is that it's not going to be level. So, you know, if I put the level on here, you probably can't see the bubble there, but the table slopes slightly to the front, and that's true no matter where I put this level on the stone, because the stone gives me the flatness I need. Similarly, in this orientation, the table is sloping a little bit towards the left because the legs on the right are a little bit taller, despite my efforts with a grinding machine, tipping the table over and grinding the feet more or less and measuring them with a tape. You know, real precision work, what you'd expect out of a proper lathe man. So anyway, the slope is the same again on the stone. So once I've got the leveling feet, I should be able to level the thing properly, but more important than leveling is the flatness. Now that I've got the stone, once I've leveled it properly, what I'm going to do is bolt this thing down, you know, with the two bolts that hold the lathe down. And the thing is, I may even, once I've bolted it in, do another cut to sort of free the metal sheet from the bolts that are currently holding it in place. Because although I did that before by cutting the sheet, if you look at the lathe build table, I'd cut the sheet so that only the two end bolts were holding it down, and then I put in another bunch of bolts to try and get rid of any undulation and so on. The thing is that with the stone on top, you can tell that there is some bowing, but once I've bolted this down, I could potentially cut this around the stone, and hopefully that will release any kind of bending or wavy type situation. Anyway, that's it. The people that help me understand the difference between flatness and level, which should be obvious, but wasn't to me, is a guy called Campacola. I think his channel is called Adventures with a Very Small Lathe. Blondie Hacks. I've bought a bunch of books as a result of watching her channel. And then I've also watched Old Tony and Clow42, which I don't know how to pronounce. That's spelled Glough 42. And you know, those guys are people that know what they're doing with lathes and so on. Like I said, I'm basically the idiot in the basement. The lathe's still in the box, and I've been this patient because I'm trying to understand all the things I need to do before I even switch it on. Getting it level and getting it on a flat plane are the two most important things. And then of course, once I do get it on here and bolt it on, I'm going to have to basically go through all the processes that you want to do with Chinese lathes to make sure that they're actually going to work. Grease all the things you need to grease, and degrease the things that don't need to be greased or oiled, and so on, and just check that everything works. Hopefully there aren't any major bad points on my lathe, but I don't know. I haven't even unpacked it or switched it on. It's been sitting there for over a month now while I was getting all these other bits sorted out, and of course the gas fire project is going to take up most of my time, so I'll be doing the lathe setting up and all that as I can. But one of the things I am going to do is give a cost analysis of the lathe and all the bits that I'm buying for it. You know, how much the lathe table cost me. I estimate that the lathe table you know, didn't cost me very much at all in terms of the materials were all free because there was all scrap lying around here, except for the legs, which I think was a tube I bought but was left over. I didn't need it for what I was going to use it for. So there was a cost for that, but you know, it was probably like, I don't know, 20 euro, 25 euro, something like that. And then the bolts. Basically, that's about it. And then, you know, the cost of some grinding discs, some welding rods, but all told, it was pretty cheap really to build this table. So I'm still glad I did it. And also it's pretty rigid. I've added a shelf at the bottom of it, so I may add a couple more struts, because you can see if I really go at it, you can hear it moves a little bit. But I think that's also going to improve with the leveling feet, and if I need to put a couple of cross braces, I will do so again. Anyway, that's it. I hope it was useful, and I'll catch you on the next one.